Hi, Brother Nashi, how are you? I'm sending you this message because I love the way that you unpack the secrets that people do have. I have my own secret that I would love to hear you reading it out so that your people can hear about the rituals that I did. I'm 36 and I am writing this to you because I want people to know. Everyone think that when you are rich, everything is just going well in your life. Everyone think that those that are wealthy, they got lucky, or maybe they were intelligent in school because of education. They got to the place where they are. I used to work for Shoprite. I was doing match for Shoprite, but I was drowning in debt. This was small debt, and life is just unfair. When I was still working at Shoprite, like the money that I was owing to these debt collectors, it was less than 10,000. But back then, 10k to me, it was like a million. Right now, 10k, it is like my pocket money that I spent in less than 30 minutes when I am at a club, depending with how many women that I'll be having. But when I was still struggling, and what hurts is that I used to call upon the name of God, saying, God, please help me, provide for me this money so that I can get out of debt. I don't want to get arrested. But God never responded to my cries. God just ignored me until I stopped going to church. Do you know that I used to be an evangelist? To those that do not know, when you are an evangelist, you don't care whether you are in church, wherever you are, all that you think about is pray. You just want to pray to God and to preach so that people can give their life to Jesus Christ. That is what I used to do. They knew me in the location because anyone that I would come across, I would invite them to church, even would borrow them my Bible and say, go with my Bible, then I'll come back and take it on Sunday and we can go to church together. But God never repaid me for the work that I was doing. I was a nobody in 2013. I was working as a match at a Shoprite in Joburg, earning a salary that was finished before it even hit my account. The shame of that debt that I had, it was just too much. I owed money everywhere. There are those people with the small offices that are called micro lenders or a payday loan. That is the most dangerous situation that you can get yourself involved in. They will lend you money, but when on your payday, they will come and take your salary. I was owing furniture stores, and what hurt me about the money that I was owing at the furniture store, it was that this money, brother, that I was owing, I kept on paying it, even though the woman that had made me to go and get the sofas and the old metallic TV stands that used to be in fashion back in those days. This woman, she ended up running away from me and she went to her province in Limpopo, which was very painful for me because I loved that woman. So she left me in debt. And in my location, hey Baba, that was the most difficult thing. Even the Mashonisa, they ended up beating me because I did not have the money. They thought that I would be lying. I did not even have my ID. I could not do anything. For the Mashonisa, he had collected my ID. I would always walk with my head down because I was depressed. I nearly killed myself. I was tired of avoiding calls. What I did was that each and every debt collector that would call me, I would save the phone numbers of that company and I would write debt collection from such a shop, debt collection from such a shop. This meant that whenever those people would call me, I would just drop. I would not answer. My phone was always on silent, afraid that these people, they will call me and they will harass me. I felt like a total failure. I had arrived in Joburg from KZN thinking that I was going to be working in the mine. But then my cousin brother, he became so cruel. I think that it was because of his wife who did not want me to stay at their house because I had seen some things that she would do whenever my brother was at the mine. I would see men that would come and speak with him in ways that were not so nice, even though she would not see me sometimes, but she was suspicious that I might be looking at him through the window. She would chase those men away, saying that I told you not to come at this time and hour. And I knew that my sister-in-law, she was busy cheating on my brother. As a brother who loved his brother, I went and I spoke with my brother and I said, I think that this is what is your wife doing to you. How about you do some investigation? My brother, instead of him investigating, he started accusing me of being someone that was lusting after his wife, for his wife was really beautiful. And then she kicked me out and I started staying somewhere else. Then I started working at Shoprite. Close to the Shoprite where I was working, there was a small cell phone repair shop. They also sold phones there. I became friends with a guy who worked there. Usually on lunch I would go and just check up on other things because I was thinking of starting a cell phone repair shop back in KZN. Look for a worker that is from Zim who would be managed by my mother. He was a talkative guy. Let us call him Blessing. We used to eat our lunch together, talk. One afternoon, Blessing, he got a bit too comfortable. He was complaining about his boss. He said, my boss, man, he is a wealthy man, but he does not want to give me money. And I said to him, if you say that your boss has so much money, how about you just speak with him and you tell him that you want him to give you all the money that you are supposed to be given as your salary? And he said to me, my brother, this Nigerian is scared. It is not just him being a businessman and wealthy. He is a money ritualist. I have seen things in the back of our shop that do not belong in a cell phone store. He has a calabash that is full of blood. I was shocked when he told me this story, but knowing Blessing, who even claimed that his father was a king in the village where he came from, I thought that he was lying, but I was curious at the same time. I did not want to judge him. I wanted to know how to get out of Shoprite where I was working. I then approached the boss, whom I will call Mr. O. I told him straight and I said, boss, how are you doing? I am tired of being poor. Blessing told me that you have a secret. You keep this calabash. Please, I want in. Mr. O, in all of his rudeness, he denied everything. He shouted at me and he told me to get out of his shop. I thought that it was just a story that Blessing had told me, and it was the end of it. I went back to packing the shelves, not complaining and paying my debts. But one thing with debt is that interest will hit you. When you borrow money, you think that you will just return the money that you would have borrowed, but it comes back with interest. The debt that I was owing you, my brother, it was just too much. I was unable to get out of debt. I was literally suffocating. So this guy, I did not know that he was a ritualist. In late 2014, he finally called me to his shop and he told me something that seemed more like a joke. By then, he had fired Blessing. He told me that his cult, he did not say a cult, I did not know anything about a cult. He said that in his club of football, these were Nigerians that would meet over the weekend and play football. They had a vacancy. And he said that they were looking for a goalkeeper. And I said, okay, it's fine. And then I started to meet this man. It did not happen instant. We would meet and we would play football with these guys and we would go out, drink, have a braai, enjoy women. I was now living with these Nigerians, the life that they live. I was now having access to their way of life. Mr. O finally took me to a massive house in Midrand. It was a very beautiful, nice mansion, high walls, security guard inside. There were men that I recognized from the news, and there was a businessman, and I was told that one of the guys who could not be them, he was a politician. And these guys, they were about to pray. I was told to sit in the lounge. They went upstairs and then they started praying. The way that they were praying, it was so different. I knew that they were doing some incantations as if they were worshipping their own ancestors. After they had finished praying, Mr. O then told me to stay behind. So I did, because there were other processes that were supposed to be done, and there were other guys, two guys that were supposed to be initiated. So I was told the rules in order for me to become part of the brotherhood, in order for me to have money. I was told that if I wanted to live a nice life, to stop working at Shoprite, I was supposed to be connected to another bloodline, a satanic bloodline, and I could start making money. They told me that this was a bloodline that belonged to the Rothschild, but I needed connection in order for me to be connected to that bloodline. And in short, what they did not want to tell me straightforward was that a blood sacrifice was needed. I was then told that I was supposed to sacrifice my mother. My mother was the only person that believed in me. She lived in a small village back home in KZN, and I would send her money here and there. But because of the greed that had entered into my heart, I then decided to sacrifice my mother. I was then told to buy an expensive dress with my salary, not to pay any debt, not to do anything. Because I had set my debit orders, I knew that when my money would have come into the account, then after 2 days, then the debt collectors, they would collect the money. The Machonis were the ones that were a problem. I was staying in Midrand, in that mansion, going to work, because they said that they cannot assist me because I was supposed to use my own money to buy my mother a dress. I bought my mother a dress, which I took back to that mansion. In the meantime, those mansionists, they would look for me, and they would wait for me to get out of the place where I was working. But there were Nigerians that would pick me up and say that this guy, he owes us, we want to use him until we are done. So those mansionists, they thought that indeed those were drug dealers, that I was owing some money. They were like, yo, my brother, you are going to die. You are dealing with Nigerians and you are still owing us money. But they did not know that these Nigerians that would come and pick me up, they were the people that were initiating me. After I had received my salary for that month, there was no debt collector that was going to tell me fuck all. I used all of that money, and then I bought a beautiful dress for my mother, which was folded and placed on top of an altar. But before this had been done, those Nigerians, they went and they looked for a prostitute for me. And I was told to put the dress underneath the mattress on the bed where me and the prostitute were going to make love. We did as we had been instructed to do, and then I sent the prostitute away after giving her 500 rand for the one round that we had slept with each other. They returned her back to wherever they had collected her from, and then they folded that dress and put it on top of the altar. I then returned back to KZN, and I gave my mother the dress, and I said, Mom, I want you to wear this dress because I want to see how good it looks on you. Even my mom, she was surprised because I kept on insisting, saying that I wanted to quickly return back to work. So my mother then went to her bedroom, and she came back. She was wearing the dress as well as the shoes, including the bag that I had bought for him. But the dress was the only one that had been offered to the devil that is worshipped in the cult which I joined. Later on, my mother, she started to collapse. She would collapse. She would be having these fits. She was taken to the doctors, and they said that my mother was having a brain tumor. That is what happened to my mom, and she passed away. When my mother passed away, brother, I was supposed to have an expensive funeral for my mother, and my mother was buried. I collected soil from my mother's grave, which I keep in my car. The first car that I bought after I started making money from Norway, I bought a white Mercedes and never looked back at Shoprite again. I felt as if I was free. The most brutal rule of my wealth is that I have to treat my family in the most disgusting way. When people see me arrive in the village, they think that I am a blessing, but I am a curse. According to the ritual, I am forbidden from helping my poor relatives. If an auntie begs me for 200 rand for bread or anything, the ritual say that I must refuse. In fact, to boost the money, I am encouraged to hate my relatives to the point where I literally spit on the ground when my poor cousins approach me to have me giving them money. I talk to them as if they are lazy and they are cursed. They should come to Joburg and look for work. It is cruel. It sounds cruel, but every time when I insult one of my poor relatives, then my business deals, they go through. It's like the spirit, it feeds on my relatives' humiliation. I travel to KZN now and then just to show off. Especially last December, I had one of my cousin sister crying because she needed some money. I can go there with the most expensive car. I buy the most expensive champagne just to pour it on the ground in front of people who are struggling, who are in poverty. I have built a massive house in the village that I never live in so that the neighbor can see that I am rich. And they don't know this. They actually want me to assist them. My relatives, they think that I got arrogant because of money. They don't know that I am under a contract. If I give 1 cent to help a relative to go to school or buy food or pay for a doctor, my wealth will vanish. I am allowed to buy one thing for them though, one thing only, an expensive coffin. The ritual say I can only spend money on them when they are dead. So whilst they are alive and struggling, I ignore them. But the moment one of them dies, I buy the most expensive coffin and pay for the most expensive years. I pay for the best burial. So this is what I am only allowed to do. Right now, I am facing a test, my brother. I have a young brother of mine, the one who was looking after my mother before I got involved in rituals. He is very sick. He has severe lung disease. He needs a specialist and a surgery that might cost around 150,000 rands. He calls me every day, coughing and crying, begging for me to assist him. I have money right now in my account. I can pay for that surgery and be left with change in my pocket, but I can't. Instead of paying his bill, you know what I did? I bought a Range Rover once. I did so specifically so that when I go home to visit, you can see that I have a brand new car without number plates. And I am tired of doing this. I am tired of hating my poor relatives. I wish that I had never left Shoprite, because at Shoprite at least I would assist my relatives even though I was not making a lot of money. If someone would ask me to give them 100 rand, it was like 1,000,000 to me, but I would give that person the 100 rand. But where I am right now, I am just like the devil's son. I do not encourage anyone to do money rituals because I will end up becoming the most loneliest man in my life. Do you think that as I grow old, my relatives, they will want to assist me if I ever get sick? These slay queens, they have fake love. Once the money runs out, then it is done. They will leave me just like they entered in my life so quickly because of money. When there is no money, then they will go away. This is my confession, advising your listeners to never do money rituals. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Do you have such a relative? If you ask for money from them, then it's either they refuse to give you, or they first tell you bad things and then they give you after that. Do you suspect that maybe your relative who has given you some money, he is a ritualist? If so, you can come to my inbox and share with me your own side of the story.